so today we're back on Anime Expeditions, and I want to show you guys my tournament strategy for the release tournament, which personally got me to number 1, and I think it is the best strat in the game right now. Hope you guys found the video helpful. If you do, maybe leave a like or subscribe. But anyways, let's get into it. Okay, what is up guys? So before we get into the actual tournament run, if you want to skip ahead you can. But I want to talk about my build first of all, my gear on people. So I do have these equipments right here. If you want to see the actual percentages on them, I will hover over those for a bit. So you can kind of copy, follow along. But these are not 100% optimal relics, okay, these could be better. I think if you did have better rolls in some of your stats, you could probably get around 280 mil. Personally, I get consistently around 275 mil with this strat. And on my final run I just did, I got 276 mil. I got a little bit extra, and it should have put me number 1, yep, so... I don't know, I got pretty consistent 275s out of this strat, like 275 mil, and then with a little bit better crit RNG I ended up getting 276, so I think this strat is pretty consistent around like the 270 to 280 mil margin. Depending on your gear, it might be lower to like 260 something. So one thing I want to clarify, a lot of people think that you should run 5.1 or 5 SPA on Inumaki. I personally don't think so. Okay, objectively, I've kind of like done some testing with it, crunched the numbers on it. You want to have around like 3.4 to 3.5 SPA on this guy because you can kind of still loop your slow application with the 5-second duration, 5-second downtime. You know, it still adds up to 10 after 3 hits with this one. So you still have like almost perfect slow cycling. But with your SPA being lower, you can slow the stuff like quicker off a spawn and just kind of get them in the loop sooner. Especially with a 3-placement unit. Let's say like I place down one Inumaki and then the enemy walks out of that Inumaki's range while still on slow cooldown. The next Inumaki that hits him is going to have less of a penalty for attacking him too early if he has 3.5 SPA versus 5. So that's a little like micro optimization. A lot of people kind of have the misconception that you want to run 5.1 SPA on this guy and a little bit more range. The range doesn't really help as much as like having lower SPA on him, at least in my experience it doesn't. And then one other thing that is very important for this strat if you want to kind of do exactly what I do, there's a certain thing to know with Yuta, which I haven't really talked about before. I know I talk about Yuta a lot, but there's one specific restriction with this guy that I don't really mention too often when I'm talking about him. So if you place down 2 Yutas next to the same Berserker here, next to the same Kenpachi, you'll see that when their follow-up attacks pop, one of them gets the full AoE, and one of them can't because it's on cooldown. Okay, so what I like to do to kind of get around this and still have as much like coverage and damage as I can, it kind of depends on your SPA. If you don't really feel comfortable doing this strat, I recommend just putting 1 Yuta down per unit, because like you don't want the cooldown to kind of overlap and waste a Yuta. But if you want to get 2 Yuta placements on the same Kenpachi, which is what I'll be doing in this tournament run, pretty much there's a way to do it. So you want to max out your Yuta, get him to around 2 out of 3 on his little bar, wait a little bit, like 3 seconds, and then immediately place down a Yuta and max him out. And if you do it right, and you don't mess it up, you should be able to have 1 attack full AoE, and then whenever this one fills up to 3 out of 3, it should also be full AoE, so you should know when you do it right. Checking if they both do follow-ups, which they do, so I kind of synced it up properly here just to show you. I know it's a very nerdy thing, I know a lot of people are going to think it's a stupid thing to do in a tower defense, but hey, if you want the number 1 strat, I guess you gotta do stuff like this, okay? And that's one little bit of strategy to know, otherwise just watch your cooldowns on Go Through and Megami, make sure they don't overlap, so whenever one of them uses their rewind, make sure to wait like 10 seconds at least before using the next one, so they need to kind of be about 12 seconds apart in cooldown. We'll be talking about stuff that I'm doing in the tournament run in like the Roblox chat, so it's kind of old-fashioned, so you can always read that when I'm talking about doing something in the run.